Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John. So today, as you can see by the thumbnail, when you clicked on this video, this is my top 12 horror books of 2020. Originally, this started out as a top 5, all right? And then I started going through the top 5, and then as I'm going through the top 5, I'm looking going, oh, I'd like to include that one. Oh, no, wait a minute, I want to include that one. So top 5 became like a top 10, and then top 10 was starting to become like a top 20, top 30, top 40, top 50. Pretty much I probably could put 100 books on this thing as some of my favorite books of 2020. Only thing about that is that as of right now, I've read 119 books, I believe it is. The last one being a graphic novel called Daddy's Little Girl. It is a horror graphic novel. It should be more of a horrible graphic novel because it's really bad, okay? I don't recommend it to anybody. But anyway, beside the point. So anyway, it was just one of those things where I could not decide who to put on here because I'm one of these people who's like, when I tell somebody I love their book and everything, I feel bad about not putting them in a top 10, top 5, whatever. So what I did instead, and there's still going to be some people left out, and I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I hate leaving people out. But what I've got here, it says 12. I've actually got 13 books because one of them that I had already told somebody I was going to put it in the top 5, and there's no way I could not include this book, all right? But I've got 13 books here, and what I did was I went through my Goodreads month by month by month from January to December and looked at the ratings and looked at the books that I gave 5-star and 4-star ratings to, and I picked from there. Like I said, if I left anyone out, I apologize. It does not mean that your book was crap. It doesn't mean that I didn't like your book any more or any less than anybody else's. It just means that I couldn't make up my damn mind, okay? So that's that. There you go. So here we go, starting with January all the way down to December. December's going to have 2 books because, like I said, let's go ahead and begin. Now, some of these I might read the synopsis for, some of them not, because a lot of them, since it's been a while since I read them, I don't exactly remember the plots of these books, all right? I don't have that type of memory. I don't have an eidetic memory, okay? So, January, number 1, and this is only in order from month to month, not who's the best or whatever. All right, there we go. January, we're going to go with the Remaking, and this is by Clay McLeod Chapman, excuse me. And this is a kind of a witch fiction, if you want to say. Ella Louise has lived in the woods surrounding Pilots Creek, Virginia for nearly a decade. Publicly, she and her daughter Jessica are shunned by her upper-crust family and the local residents. Privately, desperate characters visit her apothecary for a cure to what ails them, until Ella Louise is blamed for the death of a prominent customer. Accused of witchcraft, Ella Louise and Jessica are burned at the stake in the middle of the night. Ella Louise's burial site is never found, but the little girl has the most famous grave in the South. A steel-reinforced coffin surrounded by a fence of interconnected white crosses. Their story will take the shape of an urban legend as is told around a campfire by a man forever marked by his childhood encounters with Jessica. Decades later, a boy at that campfire will cast Amber Pendleton as Jessica in a 70s horror movie inspired by the witch girl of Pilots Creek. Amber's experiences on the set and its meta remake in the 90s will ripple through pop culture, ruining her life and career after she becomes the target of a witch hunt. Amber's best chance to break the cycle of horror comes when a true crime investigator tracks her down to interview her for his popular podcast. But will this final act of storytelling redeem her, or will it bring the story full circle, ready to be told once again, and again, and again? And that is the Remaking by Clay McLeod Chapman. I enjoyed the way the story was told, the way kind of like the legend of these two, the mother and the daughter, and they're being accused of witches and being burnt at stake and stuff. The way it continues down through history through different forms of communication, campfire tales, remaking of a movie, different things like podcasts and stuff like that. February, was no doubt in my mind what book I was going to go through or choose in February, and that is Devil's Creek by Todd Keisling. This book is a fantastic combination, mashup of old-time religion horror and cosmic horror that just blew me out of the water. I absolutely freaking love this book, all right? And I think a lot of other people freaking love this book too. It is easily one of the best books. I'd say it's one of the best I've ever read. And as far as horror is concerned, one of the best horror novels I've ever read. All right? Let's see. About 15 miles west of Stafford, Kentucky lies Devil's Creek. According to local legend, there used to be a church out there, home to the Lord's Church of Holy Voices, a death cult where Jacob Masters preached the gospel of a nameless God. And like most legends, there's truth buried among the roots and bones. In 1983, the church burned down following a mass suicide. Among the survivors were Jacob's 6 children and their grandparents, who banded together to defy their former minister. Dubbed the Stafford Six, these children grew up amid scrutiny and ridicule, but their infamy has faded over the last 30 years. Now their ordeal is all but forgotten, and Jacob Masters is nothing more than a scary stories told around campfires. I'm not going to read the whole synopsis on this, because, I mean, it's a pretty long one, but anyway, Jacob pretty much finds a way of coming back from the dead, and he is all set to restart his church again, all set to try to raise this nameless God, and it is just a awesome horror novel. So there you go. That was Devil's Creek by Todd Keisling. Next up from March is my birthday month, if you want to know. Y'all mark that on your calendars in case y'all want to get me presents or stuff like that. You don't have to. I'm just kidding. Y'all shoot. Anyway, y'all wouldn't know what to get me. I'm kidding. So for March, I'm going to go with Saint Sadist by Lucas Mangum. All right. And this is one of those, I thought I read this in 2019. Maybe I didn't. But, this one here, Saint Sadist. This one's a wild one. I'll tell you that right now. If you were somebody that gets bent out of shape by the way your religion, especially Christianity, is presented in horror, you might want to avoid this one, okay? I'm just going to tell you that right now because it does get really out there, all right? Pregnant with her father's child, 19-year-old Courtney is a girl on the run, willing to do anything to make her way on the road. When a car accident leaves her wounded by the side of a desolate highway, she is taken in by an environmentalist doomsday cult led by the enigmatic St. Ambrose, a charismatic preacher and ex-environmental scientist who gave up everything after claiming to see the face of God. When he meets the seemingly vulnerable Courtney, he is taken by her beauty and her wounded soul. Now, with the promise of salvation hanging in the balance, Courtney must undergo a series of trials, each more painful and humiliating than the last. Her incestuously conceived baby growing in her womb, a strange presence visiting her at night and telling her Ambrose has lost his way, and it is she who must overthrow him. Yeah, this is some weird stuff, but it's pretty damn awesome, so that's why I chose it. All right, so there you go. That was for March. Excuse me here. Get a little bit of sip of tea here. All right. April, I choose Lilitu. It's by Jonathan Fortin. I love that cover. It's a beautiful cover. England, 1876. 20-year-old Miranda Blackwood has always struggled to adhere to the restrictive standards of Victorian society, denying the courage and desire that burn within her soul. But after a terrifying supernatural encounter, Miranda's instincts compel her to action. Miranda soon discovers a plot to unleash a new world, one of demonic aristocrats, bloody rituals, and nightmarish monsters. Putting her upbringing aside, Miranda vows to fight the dark forces, assuming control of England. But as her world transforms, Miranda finds that she too must transform, and what she becomes will bring out all that she once buried. And that is Lilitu, the Memoirs of a Succubus. All right. Okay, moving on to May. For May, I've got the first book of the Mythos. I believe it's called The Mythos War. It's by Levi Black, and this is Red Right Hand. And this is about a girl that See, like I said, it's been a while since I read some of these, so let me just do the synopsis on some of these here. Charlie Tristan Moore isn't a hero. She's a survivor. Already wrestling with the demons of her past, she finds herself tested as never before when she arrives home one night to find herself under attack by 3 monstrous skinhounds straight out of a nightmare. Just as hope seems lost, she is saved by a sinister man in black, dressed in a long, dark coat that seems to possess a life of its own, and wielding a black-bladed sword in his grisly red right hand. But her rescue comes at a cost. The man in black, a diabolical elder god, demands she become his acolyte and embrace a dark magic she never knew she possessed. To ensure her obedience, he takes her friend and possible love, Daniel, in thrall as a hostage. Now she must join the man in black in his crusade to track down and destroy his fellow elder gods, supposedly to save humanity from being devoured for all eternity. But is the man in black truly the lesser of two evils, or a menace far more treacherous than the eldritch horrors she's battling in his name? And that's on a black cover, so that's why it's kind of hard to read there. Anyway, that is Red Right Hand by Levi Black. So you're talking about dark fantasy horror, cosmic horror for sure. It's got all kinds of like Lovecraftian creatures in it, like and I'm not giving anything away. I don't think, like Nyarlathotep, Azathoth, Cthulhu. Yeah, they make appearances. Hastur makes appearances in these books. Next up, what is that? January, March, April, May, June. June, we've got the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Let me get that a little bit of glare off there. Let's see here. There we go. And this book is exactly what it says it is. It takes place in the South, I believe in South Carolina, which is where I'm from, actually. And it's about this group of women that, just like it says, they have this book club. And it's not your typical book club, really. But they meet this gentleman that, well, the best way to put it is, for all intents and purposes, they believe him to be a vampire. And now, is he a vampire? I'm not going to give that away if you haven't read the book. But this was definitely one of my favorite books of 2020. And that is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, Grady Hendrix. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's been anything I've read by Grady Hendrix that I did not enjoy. Her Best Friend's Exorcism, loved it. We Sold Our Souls, loved it. What was the other one? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Horror Store, loved it. You know, IKEA, a haunted IKEA. Wow, that's awesome. Okay. Let's see, what was that? January, February, March, April, May, June, July. There is no way in hell that I was not going to include the Magpie Coffin by Wiley Young in this list. There was no way, all right? The year is 1875, and outlaw Salem Covington has spent the last 20 years collecting stories, possessions, and lives. Nicknamed the Black Magpie for his exploits during the war, Salem has carved a bloody trail across the western territories. Informed that his mentor, Comanche shaman Dead Bear, has been murdered, he vows vengeance on the perpetrators. Enlisting the help of an army scout and preserving the body of his mentor in a specially made coffin, Salem sets out in pursuit. But the choices of Salem's past that earned him the moniker Black Magpie are riding hard behind him, and the only weapons that can kill him might not be as far away as he thinks. The Magpie Coffin is an unrelenting tale of revenge with precise brutality and extreme violence. This is book 1 in the Splatter Western series. It is still going on. Book 8 is going to be out pretty soon. The 13th Coyote. I cannot wait to get it. All right? So yeah, first one in the thing is... It's probably the best one of the lot so far. All right, the Magpie Coffin. All right, excuse me. I had a little hitch in my throat. I'm sorry about that. Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting which one I'm on. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Yes, okay. August, House on Abigail Lane, Keelan Patrick Burke. Now, the one thing I can say about Keelan Patrick Burke is, first of all, his covers on his books. Now, he kind of likes to keep it a secret, so I apologize for this, but under the name Elder Lemon Design, he designs covers, all right? For Silver Shamrock Publishing, for other publishing companies, but designs covers, and they are always just absolutely awesome, and this is no exception. He's one of these authors or one of these artists that when you first look at something, you're like, okay, well, that's nice. Sunflowers, oh, those are pretty. But then you look closer, you look at this sunflower here, and it's got an eyeball. But this is basically a haunted house found fiction novella. And I don't, it's really hard, probably pretty hard to pull off found fiction in fiction, or found fiction horror or found footage, found footage. But he does it just perfectly with this book. He gives you a history of this book and how certain people have disappeared when they've gone into this house, or this book, this house on Abigail Lane. And just the different families, the experiences they have in this house. And again, like I said, some people disappear and they leave things behind. Like a glass eye, or what else have they left behind? Wedding ring, a phone, an eye, And when I say an eye, I mean a glass eye, I believe. Yes. Anyway, House on Abigail Lane. There you go. Another one here. September, October, November, December. September. Creature, Hunter Shea. And this is about a woman who suffers from these autoimmune diseases. She's always in a lot of pain. Well, her husband arranges for them to kind of go to Maine for this getaway, in the woods, this nice cabin in the woods, just get some peace and quiet, get away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life, so she can start to kind of heal as much as she can. But there's something in the woods, and there's something trying to get into her house. I don't want to say any more about this book because there's quite a really awesome twist to what this thing is. And I'm not going to give away any more, all right? But it is definite creature feature horror at its absolute best. So there you go, Hunter Shea, Creature. All right, for October, I'm going to go with Buried with the Night. And this is by Sion Das. These are stories by Sion Das. These stories are extreme. They're scary. They're horrifying. And the biggest thing about it all is they are absolutely entertaining. I didn't review this book on my channel. I hate that I didn't do it. But I would definitely give this book a 5-star rating. It is just an absolute awesome collection of short stories. It's one of these that I cannot recommend enough. I wish I could tell you more about it. Let me see here. Tales of darkness, crime, and terror await you in this short collection from Sion Das. 4 previously released short stories and 1 novelette have been compiled to satisfy your sinister needs. Fans of disturbing fiction, horror cinema, and series such as Tales from the Crypt should feel at home within these pages. The short story Darjeeling was published in Year's Best Hardcore Horror, Volume 5 by Red Room Press. Warning, this book contains descriptions of violence that some may find disturbing. Explicit language is used freely. Reader discretion is advised. Yeah, but awesome book. I cannot recommend this book enough. It's just a fantastic book. So there you go, Buried with the Night. Next up this November, and another collection of short stories, and this is Her Infernal Name and Other Nightmares. And this is by Robert Atone. And I did review this one on my channel. Some of the standout stories, so I'm going to try to remember which ones I picked as standouts. I may get it wrong. Elevator of the Dead is really awesome, a zombie story. Where's the other ones here? Oh, gosh. Her Infernal Name, the title story, is really excellent. Let me see. Oh, gosh. Gnats in the Teacher's Lounge. Yeah, all the stories in this book are just really excellent horror stories. Probably you could say they're horror, dark fantasy, a little bit of thriller, I guess, but mainly horror, I would say. Anyway, that's Her Infernal Name by Robert P. Atone, and Other Nightmares by Robert P. Atone. All right. December. Now, December, I've got a tie here because, like I said, one of these books that I picked, I had already told somebody I was going to put it in the top 5, and I'm going to get to it in a minute, but I just didn't feel I could not include it. So there you go. December, Tome. I just reviewed this book. It is a absolutely fantastic book. I hope you watched my review. Like I said, I just posted my review for it. It is absolutely, it is one of the absolute best horror novels I have ever read. All right, I know I said that about Devil's Creek. I'm saying that about this one too. This is book 2 of the Juniper trilogy. And if you haven't read Juniper, then read Juniper also, because it is also absolutely awesome. But this takes place within the Juniper Correctional Facility, and there is a series of murders, suicides, whatever, that are occurring with no explanation, except for the fact that this book and this is full of ghosts. It's full of demons. There's some of the subject matter in this is like of racism, of prison corruption. This thing is, I was at a loss for words about what to really say about this book. My thoughts were all over the place with this book. I loved it. Tome, that's my December pick. And like I said, my honorable mention is not really an honorable mention. I'm going to put it in here. And this is Starving Ghost in Every Thread by Eric LaRocca. And it's about a girl with a very unique ability. She is, I guess you could kind of say she's an emotion vampire. She feeds off of people's emotions. And it does explain to you what they mean by starving ghost in every thread. It does explain it. I don't want to go into too much detail about it, because I really would like for you to go into this book as blind as possible, because that's exactly what I did, and I was absolutely blown away by it. So yes, please, by all means, please pick up this book, Starving Ghost in Every Thread. So that's going to do it. That is it. That is my top 12, or 13 if you want to say that, horror books of 2020. Again, like I said, if I left anybody off, I am sorry. You know, there were so many, I read so many awesome books in 2020. It is just hard as hell. I mean, my brain is just split. I mean, if you could do an x-ray of my brain, like one of those Acme, like one of those Bugs Bunny cartoons or whatever, you would literally see this side of my brain going, no, I want to choose this book. And this side of the thing going, no, I want to choose this book. You know, it's just a weird thing. All right. So, yes. So there you go. That is my top 13, horror books of 2020. It's going to post on Monday afternoon at about 2:30. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening and letting me ramble. And you guys, the working week is getting ready to begin. Enjoy. Stay safe. All right? Stay safe.